My name's John Ewart, and I have the privilege of working with our Global Theological Initiative here at Southeastern. The GTI is simply a way for our seminary to work around the world to help theological educational initiatives. Sometimes we work with an international seminary. We might have a partnership with an international Baptist convention, or we might have a partnership with a church right here in North America through our Equip network. And so it's been my joy to work with that. And a major part of the Global Theological Initiative is our Center for Great Commission Studies. And I'm privileged this morning to have the leadership team from the Center for Great Commission Studies here with us. And I want them to take just a second to introduce themselves, give you their titles, and give you their roles over there in the center.
So my name is Scott Hildreth. I'm the director of the Center for Great Commission Studies.
I'm Mike Dodson. I'm the associate director for North American Church Planting and Missions.
And I'm Greg Mathias, the associate director for international missions.
Thanks, guys. Listen, there's a nasty rumor that I've heard around campus, and I want to make sure that we can kind of take care of this. So, Scott, I'm going to shoot this at you. I've heard a rumor that basically what the Mission Center does is it sends out students on mission trips, and you guys do something called the 2+2. So why don't you tell me what the center really does?
Yeah, so we do mission trips, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And we are the Center for the 2+2 degree. We'll talk about that and let Greg speak to that a little bit later. But the purpose of our Center for Great Commission Studies, as Dr. Ashford mentioned earlier, is to help our students know what it means to come to Southeastern for the purpose of going out. And our job is to help every student who comes to Southeastern Seminary process their calling and process that through the filter of the Great Commission.
Well, let's flesh that out. What does that look like practically?
Yeah, so practically, we do a couple of things that help our students do this. First of all, we do several events throughout the year that provide an opportunity for students to interact with the biblical text, also interact with real-life missionaries. We have missionaries on campus. They'll be in classrooms. We'll have special luncheons that give our students a chance to sit down face-to-face with men and women who have gone overseas and give you a chance to ask them questions. How did they know they were called? And what's life like as a missionary? What are the opportunities that are around the world? The other things that we do, we have training events to help equip our students on what it means to actually be on mission. For example, just this weekend, we're going to have an evangelism training seminar Saturday, a couple hours Saturday morning from 9 o'clock to 11. To teach every student who wants to be a part of our evangelism emphasis coming up what it means to share the gospel, how to do it winsomely. We also provide counsel through a service like this, or Dr. Aiken stands up and preaches yesterday on Bertha Smith, and someone feels God's called them to missions. Our doors are always open to counsel. Students provide connection with mission agencies, the International Mission Board, the North American Mission Board, what it is that would be necessary for you to go and be involved in missions.
So it really is kind of a one-stop shopping kind of place for missions.
Do the best we can, that's right.
Greg, a minute ago I mentioned the 2+2 program. That's the MDiv and International Church Planting. Why don't you tell us a little bit of what is the 2+2 program?
Okay. Yeah, the 2+2 or the 2+3 program is the International Church Planting MDiv. One and the same. Sometimes people are confused about that, but it really is. This is where the 2+2 degree started in the mid-90s, and so it's been around here for a long time. It's a well-known degree. Students come in all the time, and they know international missions 2+2. And really what it is, it's an attempt to create some of the best well-equipped, well-trained missionaries on the planet that you spend 2 or 3 years here getting your biblical, your missiological, and your theological training inside the classroom in conjunction as you're partnering with your local churches to be out in your community, to be ministering. And then when you get towards the end of that campus time, you actually spend 2 or 3 years overseas, living the life of a missionary, learning language, learning culture, being mentored. We go out there and visit you on the field, and when it's all said and done, you've gotten your education, you've also gotten practical experience, and one of our major partners, the International Mission Board, if you look at a lot of their leadership, they're graduates from the 2+ program.
Since you have the mic and since your focus is international missions, why don't you also, Greg, why don't you share a little bit about some of the events that take place around here on campus related to international missions?
Right. Well, a couple things. We did mention the International Church Planting or the 2+2 degree, and kind of I don't know if it's a rumor, but most people think that's all we do degree-wise to equip you to go overseas. Well, we've noticed something in the center, and I would say, if you guys, I think you would agree, that in fact, over the last few years, we've seen a deepening commitment and a growing diversification of our students interested in serving overseas, participating in missions. And they're doing it in many different degree tracks, whether it's some of our other missions degree tracks, whether it's those outside of the missions realm. And we're seeing the students come in with a much more experience. Maybe they've spent a couple years overseas, part of the Journeyman program with the International Mission Board, or they've spent time in a large city or in a different country. And so they're coming in and they want to go to the nations, but not necessarily through the 2+2 or a missions degree. In fact, we have a young man that just graduated here in a non-missions degree and signed a 3-year contract to work with an organization, a company, doing a job in the Middle East, and while he's there working through his vocation, he'll be also involved in ministering. And so those are some of the things we do with that. And one of the things we're most excited about, you asked about events, we started up a new thing last spring called Missions Forums. And really these are events that will take place throughout the year, and it's our attempt to bring together students and current topics and interests in the field of missions, whether it be North America or international, and you'll be hearing more about those. We really want to engage you in how do you get overseas? How do you go to the big cities? And what's happening in the realm of missions that is a hot topic. And so we'll have these missions forums. We've got one coming up in the beginning of September as well. So
That's great. So, Mike, talk to us a little bit about North American church planting. That's why you're here.
Sure. Who likes a free lunch every now and then? All right, yes, everybody. See, we do events as well. Love to bless students, faculty, whoever wants to come to different events throughout the semester. We offer a variety of things. Like this coming semester on September 11th, Thursday, September 11th, we're going to have Dreaming Big in Smaller Places. And we're going to have several church planting missionaries from Upper New York and Upper New England, which are some of the least reached places in North America. They're going to be on campus for a full day and have an opportunity to interact with students. We'll probably have a lunch thing and a dinner thing going on, so you have an opportunity to interact with them, with practitioners who are living in those places and working on the field, anything. And then to events like last semester, we had an urban church planting event we called the 10s on Planting with Dahadi Lewis and Steve Timmis, and just had an opportunity to hear from those practitioners and interact with them in Q&A kind of style and format so students can get an opportunity to interact with them. We also have an MDiv, North American Church Planting track, that students have access to. Most of the students I'm finding, Greg, you mentioned more going into international missions, definitely seeing an uptick in students involved in North American church planting, whether that be leading a church planting team or going on a church planting team. By the way, all these events, you don't have to know that you're going to be an international church planter or a North American church planter to come to these events. A lot of these events are just to provide exposure to students and give them the opportunity to hear from and learn about, because whatever role you fill in ministry in the future, I believe it's going to be a helpful thing for you to be exposed to all of that. And who knows, obviously part of the reason we're doing it as well is so students can be exposed and maybe sense a call from God to be involved and to be equipped to go be involved in international missions or church planting. A couple other things we do, partnering, church planting. We're going to partner with the Rebuild Network. They're doing the Boulevard Conference in Atlanta the week of October 20th. And there's going to be a church planting course or practicum that students can take that week, along with the Unite Conference, which is going to be a church planting conference here in the area. And you'd have an opportunity to go to both of those conferences and get some credit for that class if you like to. The other thing that, project-wise, shout out to Doc Reed and all those who went to Baltimore, and those kinds of things. We partner with the field, and God used our students and leaders in a tremendous way in Baltimore.
Mike, you have a unique relationship here because you also work with the North American Mission Board. And so we hear a lot about Send Cities and Send Strategy. So can you take just a second to kind of help us understand the Send North America strategy from NAM?
Sure, just to be clear, send cities, not sin cities. Just to be clear,
I'm from Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma. Listen, I'm from Oklahoma. I'm an ESL student. I'm from Oklahoma. What can I tell you?
Although the Sin City, as it's sometimes called, is one of the Send cities. So Send North America is the main strategy that the North American Mission Board has adopted to impact lostness in North America, which is basically about two things. It's about mobilizing church planters and church planting teams, as well as mobilizing churches to impact lostness in North America. And we're directly connected. There's a farm system connected to that, which starts with student missions, which is mainly a collegiate kind of focus. And most of those are 8 to 15 week endeavors. Sean Robinson, stand up for a second. Let them see your no cat calls for Sean. He is our college mobilizer for the Gen Send experience, which is a summer-long experience for college students mainly, who can go get in a 6 week immersion experience in one of our Send cities. And Sean's the guy to go to talk about that. If you have an interest in that, please go find him, track him down, tackle him if you have to, and let him know that you're interested in doing that. Then the farm system goes on. There are church planting intern options for those who would like to really are beginning to develop a sense of call to church planting and want to spend a year in a very intentional internship, and then that can move into potentially a church planter apprentice role, and then of course into a lead planter or into planting in general. So that's what's going on with the Send North America strategy.
Yeah, let me hop back to Greg before we run out of time just for a second, because I know that some of the students here are undergrad students. And so let's talk about the Global Studies program just for a second for our college students.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually an exciting kind of re-initiative, I guess, in conversation and partnership with the college and at the Center for Great Commission Studies, that we realize that in the college years, those are extremely formative years in the life of young people and believers. And honestly, one of the weaknesses, if you will, was we didn't have a lot of focus, honestly, on the college. And so in partnership with Dr. Dew and others, that we began a conversation a couple years ago. And so we kind of revisited and revamped the classroom and the degree for the Global Studies degree. But then even beyond that, that we wanted to take it outside the classroom, because being equipped and trained to minister now and then hopefully minister somewhere after you graduate isn't just about learning a lot, it's also about experiencing and doing. And so a couple things we began to do was the Missionary Formation Society. And really that's a group that is led by, and it is for college students. And what we want to do through that is provide events and really just an opportunity for the college students to band together and to reach out and impact their community, and then hopefully impact the nations with the gospel. And so there's different events and things that go on. One thing that spun out of that are what we call haystack meetings. And those are things, again, throughout the year that you see. And again, our college students are shaping and forming those and leading those. And really, it's a time to come together, to learn, to be trained, to pray for, to engage things about mission, current topics. And also, we have field practitioners, missionaries that come in and spend time with those students. We have an event coming up even next week, one of our haystack meetings. And it's focused primarily on the college students, but we really, if you're interested in missions and you want to see what's going on, we encourage you to come and check that out. And so we're excited about that. In fact, we've seen this is the second year of the Global Studies major or degree, and it's almost doubled in terms of students involved in that. So it's a growing degree, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, that's great. Listen, so we're learning that the Center for Great Commission Studies has a whole lot going on. I started off by kind of talking about making fun of the idea that all you do are mission trips and the 2+2 program. But Scott, before we seriously run out of time, let's talk about the mission trips. both professors and students get involved in this together. So let's take a second to talk about that.
Yeah, that's right. One of the real unique things that we do through the Center for Great Commission Studies is we try to provide missionary opportunities for all of our students. In fact, Dr. Aiken's vision is that nobody graduates from Southeastern Seminary without going on a short-term mission trip. We don't even want finances to be a problem with that. And for that reason, everyone who goes on a short-term mission trip gets academic credit, and we scholarship the tuition for that. So the only thing that you're responsible for is to raise the support for that trip, and we actually help you do that too. But the way that we do short-term mission trips at Southeastern is also unique. The fact that we're a Great Commission seminary means that we want all of I want you to realize that in every degree program and every faculty position, there's a place for the Great Commission. So our trips are actually led very frequently by people who are outside of our evangelism and missions program. We have church history professors, theological professors, biblical studies professors who are leading these short-term mission trips. And every year we have trips at almost every break. We have international trips, we have North American trips, we have 2 trips this year to Africa, one to the northern part of Africa, and we have one in the southeastern part of Africa we'd like to encourage you to go. We've got 2 trips to North American cities, one to Toronto, and then we've got one to outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, one of the most unreached areas, if not the most unreached area in North America. All of these are in partnership with field-based missionaries. And so we would just encourage you to pay attention to the announcements, but you can also come by the Center for Great Commission Studies and sign up, even if you're just interested in a trip. Put your name on a list. We'd like to know more about it. We'll put you in contact with the professor who's leading the trip and to be involved. Now, one unique one that we have going to London this year is especially designed for just women, and especially just for married women. And this is a trip to London to give our women who are interested in going overseas, or maybe their husbands are interested in going overseas as missionaries. They want to know, what would it be like to be a missionary wife? Not the wife of a missionary. Those don't exist. We have missionary wives. And so this is an opportunity for you to go over and actually see what that trip is like. And so this was going to take place in the summer. And we would encourage you, if you're here, you're interested in going, or maybe some of you guys are, you have a wife and you'd like for her to experience missions, we would encourage you to be a part of that too. So there's a lot that we try to, and there's a strategic purpose behind these trips, not just to go out and stamp your passport, to actually experience what God's doing around the world.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times we coordinate these trips with some of the international partners that we have around the world. We currently have partners on 5 different continents, and so there's no telling where these trips might go. And so I really do want to just encourage you to go by the Center for Great Commission Studies in the Jackman Simpson building. Check out the information that you can get there. It's there all the time. There's a window there that you'll see where somebody will be glad to help you out. Go check them out. Learn about what it is that you can do to be more involved with the missions experience here at Southeastern. So thanks, guys, for doing this. Let's give them a big hand.